What's up, YouTubers? What's up, comic fans? What's up, Walking Dead fans? And welcome back to Comic Book Corner. And it is me, Mike Spider Slayer, bringing to you the latest issue of the Walking Dead 103 walkthrough and review. Guys, this issue was so awesome. It had a little bit of everything. It had a little bit of zombie action. It had Negan in it, and it had intense story, and the story was so intense, it had me at the edge of my seat the entire time. I loved this story. I was just waiting for something to go down, but I'm not going to tell you yet. Just to let everyone know that, guys, with my Walking Dead reviews and most of my reviews, I do show major spoilers because I try to introduce comics to people that have not read a series, and there's some people that don't have access to certain comics, so I give them as much as I possibly can, but yet where you can still enjoy the issue if you want to go out and buy it yourself. So guys, with that being said, let's get started, okay? The Walking Dead 103. We see Negan for the first time since he killed Glenn. And man, this guy is a prick, and I am not going to hesitate to talk about him. First, let's start with our wonderful writer, Robert Kirkman, who's created this masterpiece, Charlie Adlard, who does the artwork, and Chris Rathburn, who does all the gray tones in the book. The art is very consistent. It never changes. The writing is always phenomenal. So always kudos to that. Okay, let's show you some of the interior art that is inside of this book. And here we can show you Dwight. And Dwight is being followed by Jesus. Rick was given the order to give Jesus to follow Dwight, to follow out the Savior's secrets and things of that nature. My trust in Jesus at the end of the last issue was in question. With him following Dwight, it makes me feel more at ease that Jesus now is part of this Rick's group now. He seems legit, okay? Here in this picture here, we see Jesus battling off a zombie, kicking it off the bridge, a couple others on the ground. So it was nice to see a little bit of zombie action, seeing Jesus kind of kick their ass, which was cool. Here we get to see the zombie falling off the bridge, or Jesus throwing it off the bridge, and Dwight kind of turns his head and he suspects something, but Jesus takes the duck down there behind the bridge and it's not spotted, so his cover is safe. That's what happens in the beginning of the issue, and there you can kind of see what the artwork looks like, because when I show the pages, sometimes it's not always so clear. Okay, here is your cover, issue number 103. There's also a variant cover in this book. It's kind of goes back to issue number 1. I will be getting that variant next week. So when we go into the issue, it gives you again a little bit of a brief rundown of what happened, and we already talked about that Rick submitted to Negan's demands, didn't tell the group, and basically him and Jesus are working together to find out the secrets of Negan, and when the time is right, Rick will strike back at Negan. That looks like the plan that's in hold right now. Again, we can see the pictures of how Jesus was attacking the zombie, throwing it off the bridge, and takes a duck down, and he is left behind. So we leave him for now. Andrea basically is calling out Rick here, and is calling him, excuse the language, a pussy for backing down and surrendering to the bad guys. Rick makes it clear to Andrea that he tells his secret to her and saying it's just part of the plan because she was getting ready to move out. But in the end, it's not really, they wind up making up and they don't break up, and you see them kiss, and all's well in the Andrea and Rick group. That's just the beginning part of the story. Carl's pretty pissed off at his dad, and Rick is just like, Carl, trust me on this situation. We're going to take care of everything. Just trust me. And, he makes it a point saying that you're a kid, and, you hate hearing that. And, but again, he reassures his son that everything is going to be fine, and he talks to him there as well. As the issue goes along, this is at a point in the book where you're just like, oh my God. You get to the edge of your couch or edge of your chair, or you just get sucked into the book at this point, and this is what you love about the book. Out comes his appearance. Bang, bang, bang. Right on the fence or the chains, and there you see Lucille for the first time, and he screams, little pig, let me in." And he's got that smug smile from way back, not way back, but 3 issues ago when he killed Glenn. And person comes up and he's like, who are you? And Negan is such a dick. He's like, you better be fucking joking. He's like, Negan? Lucille? He's like, I know I had to make a pretty fucking strong impression. And he's just got his hands up in the air just like he did before when he's like, I don't know who to pick. I don't know who to kill. And he's like, go tell Rick and tell him that Negan's here. And then the zombies are like surrounding the group, the Negans, the Saviors group. And they're just like slaying all the zombies. And Negan got a little worried there. He's like, fuck. And every word that comes out of this guy's mouth is some obscenity. This guy is just sick. But he comes up to a couple zombies. He uses Lucille, smacks one in the head, clobbers one on the side of the head, and he's just like, he's like kind of winded there. And then there's Rick. Rick's like all depressed, And then Negan's coming up, and he's just like, he gets real pissed off real quick, You think that Rick is sitting there going, I'm not going to let him in, am I? But he surrenders down, and he just says, don't make me have to fucking ask. He's getting all pissed off. And Rick is just like, open the gate. And you see all the people. I mean, there's a lot of people here. I don't know how many, but there's a lot. And right away, Negan is just like, motherfucking service. He's like, look at this place. Cocksucking magnificent. And he's just like, wow. And he's like, you guys live in houses. You guys are like kings. He's just like, so you gonna show us around or not? And Rick's head the whole time, he's like, man, I can't believe I'm doing this shit. And he's like, well, and Rick is just like, well, what do you want to see? And Negan's talking to Rick, and he's saying that they're not going to steal his food and stuff like that, but they're basically taking everything else. And Rick is just silent. He's like, what do you want me to say? And he's like, how about a fucking thank you? By sparing him by the food. He thinks that it's this great service that Negan is doing. And then freaking Carl, pulling a Carl moment, almost screws stuff up right here. And he goes, why don't you just go home before you guys all know how dangerous you are? And he's like, pardon me, young man? He's like, excuse me? He's just like, excuse my French, but he goes, did you just threaten me? He goes, and Rick is just like, dude, Carl, go home. And he's just like, I'm in the middle of a fucking conversation. That's what Negan says. And he's like, don't be rude. And then the next thing you see is just like, all right, let's get back to the conversation. Let's talk to the boy who's got the king-size balls. And he points it out to him right there. And he's just like, he's like, why don't you listen to your little daddy and you go run along? So the group takes stuff. They keep taking shit. And, you know, Denise is the doctor here. And, Negan is just basically threatening to steal everything, but he assumes that it's half. He trusts his associates. And it is a big deal because if they steal stuff that has to do with like major injuries, the group is not going to survive well. Kind of like what happened to Carl before. They're just not going to have it because they're taking morphine, they're taking all the major drugs and stuff like that. And I forgot to make it a point in the beginning when Negan comes to inside the group. He basically trusts Rick here, and he says, hold this. He gives him Lucille to hold. And just knowing, that's how cocky he is, that Rick won't bash his head in. Because he said before that if he bashes his head in, all his people are going to take him down. And so that was a big deal. So this whole time, Rick is holding Lucille. And he always submits every time, I think, just thinking of the plan that's going to happen in the future. So he takes all this stuff. And he walks out with all the drugs, and he's just walking out with that smug face. And he goes, oh, wait. He goes, how careless of me. You didn't think I'd just leave Lucille, did you? He goes, and after what she did, why would you want her? I mean, he just constantly rubs it in Rick's face that he killed Glenn. And there was another thing, that he said too, that he rubs it in too. And he goes, he's like, I was almost turned away at your gate. He goes, I mean, who is that asshole anyway? He goes, do I get mad? Do I throw a fit? No. He goes, do I bash in some poor Asian kid's fucking dome in? So he constantly is rubbing it in that he killed Glenn and that he did this to him and that he can do it to other people as well. And that's how ruthless that he is. And then at the end, you see right here, you see Rick holding it and Negan taking it. Just the thing that killed Glenn. And he goes, in case you haven't caught on, he goes, I just slid my dick down your throat. He goes, and you thanked me for it. And that's Negan taking it easy on Rick. And that was the end of the issue. So I spoiled a lot in this book, guys, but this is the book that I do the most spoiling in. Just the reason being, there's a lot of people that can't get access to The Walking Dead for some reason that live in other countries or other things like that and just don't have the finances to it. But nevertheless, to appreciate the book fully, you have to read it yourself all the way through. You get the true feeling behind it. It is an awesome book. You really get what Negan is about in this book, how serious he is and how cocky he is, how much of an asshole he is at the same time. And it literally is Rick submitting to him, not about how he's going to get killed, but just in another demeaning way. But the plan is in place, and we're going to see what happens. I love the story in this book. It was a nice little mix of action this time with Jesus in the beginning with the zombies and actually Negan killing some zombies, and then the in-depth hardcore story on the edge of your feet, just waiting, just tension to see if Rick is just going to do something, if somebody's going to do something, and nothing happens. Phenomenal writing, Robert Kirkman. My hat is off to you, my friend. Great job. Guys, this is a point to kind of jump onto the series if you didn't know what happened last time. 103 is a good jumping on point. Kind of get a gist of what's going on in the series at this point. So, guys, as always, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. Great issue, great writing, great artwork, great story, great book, and the TV show is just as awesome. So, guys, tell me what you thought of this issue if you've read it already. Tell me your thoughts of Negan. Check out also a new series I'm doing on here with the Walking Dead question of the week. We'll get to talk a little bit more about the dead. So, guys, as always, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner, and this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. And take care, guys. See you soon. Bye.